Good morning, everyone. It is it is cold again. It's gonna get colder. Uh, but it kind of feels good because it makes you like, I know it's gonna get hot and we don't have AC. um, which I think really helped with this winter and being in the winter kind of snuggly phase, because it took a long time to feel really cold. And of course now we're going into spring and now like it's a little bit cold and it's cold. Yesterday I talked about everybody's in a different spot on their journey, and I talked about, starting down this journey, and you'll have a lot of choices in the beginning, and that can be challenging. And 2 days ago I did a meditation, and then I did a very vulnerable video talking about my ego. And this is just an interesting side point, but my friend last night was asking me, how do you define ego? And I was like, well, darn, I don't I don't really know. I don't think I've consciously thought of that. I know what I think in my head, but it's so hard sometimes to put some of these things into words. And the closest definition I came up with for myself, and what you define it as, may be completely different. I hope you can hear me. But to me, ego is this protective essence of us that has constantly, it's kind of the world speak, I think, in us, in each of us. And I think for, at least for myself and maybe others, it's like most of my life I was on autopilot with my ego. And my ego was a lot of doubt and self-ridicule, and it's not always a bad thing, because sometimes you do need to be kept safe and secure. But I think if you're on autopilot, kind of, your ego is amplified, and it's much bigger than this nice protective thing that it should be, and it's kind of like on steroids or whatever. And as I've gone into this, I'm going to step back and be the observer, I realize that my ego is just one part of me, in this body, in this lifetime. And I don't, there's parts of this journey where it's like, really, go sit in the corner, ego, like, I don't need you. But I do need that. That's part of me. That's part of who I am. And it can grow with me just like other aspects of me are growing. So I don't know if that makes any sense about defining ego. It makes sense to me and to my brain, and it may be a good opportunity for you to think, what does ego mean to me? Because I think in the spiritual community, it can mean many different things. And as always, you need to go through and assess, what does this mean to me? Don't take it just because I said it or somebody else said, whatever. What does it mean to you? What does ego mean to you? And is that going to change as you grow as a person, an individual? It probably will. But to get back on track, that ego video 2 days ago was very raw and vulnerable. And I have found that I am, especially in these videos, but in other aspects of my life, I am putting myself out there more and more and more, and just being more raw, vulnerable, honest. This is who I am, and kind of unapologetically. But I think there's those times that ego creeps up and goes, what are you doing? What are you doing? We're too exposed. You know, we're out here. And there is that self-doubt and things like that. And as always, the universe has the absolute most beautiful divine timing. And last night I got several synchronizations and affirmations of things that I had related to a friend, and again, that it was putting myself out there, though. This, like, it could end a friendship because of what I'm saying and how I'm being with this person. But I'm trusting. I'm not going to base it on previous friendships. I'm going to base it on who I am now, how I feel about this friendship, and I'm just going to do it. And I was really okay with never getting any feedback back to me. And that was a lesson for me in, you can put yourself out there and you might never get any feedback from somebody else to come back to you. And you have to be okay with that. And that was a hard lesson. But I took it and I ran with it, and I said, okay, you know, I know in my heart I said and did the right thing, and left myself kind of exposed and vulnerable, and it was just like, we're just gonna be here and it's gonna be okay. And I was completely okay. I didn't expect to get feedback. I think you can always hope. It's like, I have an intention that I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to hold on to it so tight or say, these are the parameters for this intention to actually work. I need to release it. Like, this is my intention. I hope it works out. And if the universe finds some other way to make that intention happen, then it's going to be even more bigger, awesome, probably, than what if I held on to it and was like, be this. You know. And last night, out of the blue, I had a really rough day, and out of the blue, you know, it was, hey, I need to give you some feedback, basically. And it did my heart so much good. And I think it's one of those things that the universe knew I needed that. That just a little bit more. Like, ego and I had felt through it, and we were really in an okay place. But that put ego back where ego usually is for me. At least right now. And it was really beautiful to just, when you let things go, how you can be rewarded and see that intention flourish in ways that you didn't expect. And that led to other confirmations and synchronizations and more vulnerability and exposure. And I'm just kind of like, it's all amazing. It's all good. It's all, I'm going to keep doing this. I am on the right track for me. And I love that. And so for some people, if you're not at the beginning, or I think we're kind of always in the middle. There's really no end to this journey. There's always more questions. There's always more digging. There's always more that you can be asking yourself to find that more true, raw, authentic person. And it's a little bit different than in the beginning. In the beginning, there's lots happening, and you're going to have those moments of stillness and you're just being, and then something new will pop up. And I can even remember points over the summer going, okay, I'm ready for something new. And boy, then it popped up and I was like, oh shit, what was I thinking? But then in the same breath also going, this is wonderful and amazing, and I get it. I get that I asked to be challenged in this way, and it's okay, and I'm going to be okay. And, the universe, God, source, whatever, has me. And that's a really cool feeling, too. It's a really cool feeling, too. I think if you're looking at something like, I could look at this, having this house in this land, and it was something we wanted for a very long time. And for a very long time, I held on to it so tightly. I want this, and it needs to be this parameters and that parameters, and very strict guidelines that I wasn't letting the universe wow me or come to my assistance, because I was so confined and controlling over how it needed to look that I wouldn't be open to any other possibilities. And it was literally very early on in my personal awakening that I literally was just ready. I knew I needed the dream, and how the dream looked didn't matter. Just get me there. And literally the universe delivered. We were this plot of land I'm on over here, we were looking at to just farm on the weekends. And then we realized the barn across the street was for sale too, and all the land with that. And oh my God, though, it's just like a barn. It was used as a winery. But we could do that, right? And there's many times that I thought we were crazy along the way, and it's been very difficult. But now I look at it and I have a house, and it's not fully completed, because I'm sorry, no house is fully completed. You can buy a brand new house and there's going to be something you're going to change. You can buy an old farmhouse and you've got to update it, update pipes, electric, whatever. There's always something when you own a home. And this is never what I expected if you asked me what I wanted 8 years ago or 5 years ago. And yet this is my absolute paradise, even on cold days like today. It's absolutely paradise to me. The universe delivered. Are there challenges here? Absolutely. But it's okay. Because when I wake up, I'm exactly where I want to be. And everything else that has synchronized since then, my husband's job, things with schooling for homeschooling our kids, that's all slowly synchronized. And once again, like, one of the big things was internet. It was really hard to go to no internet for schooling and stuff for me. It's not how I had homeschooled. I'd done lots of websites and videos, and it was hard. And again, I would check every week. Does the Verizon Home Internet, is that box available yet? And literally, I had just kind of given up, and I was talking to somebody from Verizon, and which is the only really good service out here. And the lady's like, well, I can see if they'll approve you. She's like, I've gotten approval 4 out of 5 times. And I was like, okay, go for it. because the worst she's going to come back and tell me is, no, you're not approved. And we got approved, and literally our lives have, like, we're back to normal. And before it used to be, we're in paradise except for internet. Now we're just in paradise. And to some people, paradise would be no internet. But maybe you're not homeschooling, or maybe you're not homeschooling how I do, or whatever. It doesn't matter. That's what I needed for my paradise. And the internet box could get switched off very easily. So, anyway, sometimes we hold on to things too tight. We have an expectation that it's supposed to go a certain way, and it has to be a certain way. And if it doesn't fit into the confines of that certain way, then it's not what we want. When really the universe is saying, can you just release it and let me do my thing, and I'm gonna wow you. It's hard to do that. I hope you can try to do that, because it's really amazing when you do that. So, I know this is kind of another smorgasbord day, but I hope you have a great day, and I will see everybody soon. Ugh.